is your first time in El Paso, I assume.
Yes, I think.
I think we bonded right away because Helen is a baseball fan.
I am. How many Texas Ranger fans? Congratulations. How many Astro fans?
How many Dodger fans?
Woo! LA.
Any Mets fans?
And how many baseball games do you watch? No Yankees. Security? Anyway, we were talking baseball earlier, which is talking my language. So we're here to talk about a movie called As Good as It Gets.
A lot of people haven't, so I'm really glad I don't have to explain this very strange movie.
Helen grew up in the industry, so I wanted her to know we're not really a cinephile festival by nature.
Doesn't seem that way, but okay.
So, no, really, security. So we're going to talk about the film, and the first basic question I had for you is, how did this role come up? How did you first get approached, or did you hear about it? What was the story there?
It was originally a script called Old Friends. It was very different. What was the same is that there was 3 people. A woman who worked in a restaurant, but a very different restaurant. It wasn't a high-end place. It was sort of a diner. A man who said challenging things, but later it became more of an actual, diagnosis that the character was given, and an artist. And I thought it was beautiful, and I wanted to be in it. And nobody made it, and nobody cared that I wanted to be in it. And then Jim Brooks, who you know about from Terms of Endearment, Broadcast News, took it and really took what was beautiful about it and made it completely his own. And then I really, really, really wanted to be in it. And he didn't think I was right for it. I was too young and not right, which was true. And my whole life up to that point, like sometimes a director would like my work, but I wasn't famous, so a studio would say no. And because of Mad About You and Twister, which is here tomorrow, suddenly the studio made him audition me. I'd never been in that position of being the one that the director's forced to see. So I worked really hard on it. And he was polite, but I could feel in the rooms, he was not going to give me this part. And then I started to read, and I saw him looking around for somebody with a video camera. He just seemed interested in what I was doing. So I auditioned and met Jack, and I think he was nervous to give me the part, and rightly so, because I was, I'm younger than him, and that's a kind of a Hollywood trope, the younger woman and the older man. But I really did what I could to shift what I'm like, and try to point toward the age a little bit. And he had to decide, because I had to go back to my TV show, and they were going to have to make a lot of concessions to let me do it. And I finally said, I think you have to decide. And he was like, okay. That's how it happened.
What was the work schedule like for you because of the TV show and then trying to shoot it?
It was bananas. I didn't have a child yet, so in a way, it was easy, because, working in my business with a kid is a juggling act, but it was crazy. So the studio where we made Mad About You was 2 blocks from where we made As Good as It Gets, but I had long, straight, blonde hair on Mad About You, and short, curly, dark hair in this movie. And Mad About You, there's a lot of sitcoms, actors here when they get a sitcom, you might get bored, but it's going to be easy. You'll be home by 7 o'clock at night. And for some reason, this particular show was not like that. We were never bored, and we worked forever. So I just did a lot of back and forth. On a week off, I'd go work. After work, I'd work. On the weekends, you know, it was crazy.
Is that where your youth came in handy? That you
Sure.
could endure it? Yeah. When you read the script, how did you see the character, and what did you bring that maybe wasn't on the page?
Her accent was my idea. She lives with her mother, and in the script it was supposed to be the mother lived with her, and I shared with Jim it might be more pressure to put on her if her mother's in her house, but those tiny things. It was just so beautifully written. What was the first part of your question?
Well, just what you brought to
yeah, those are the two things that come to mind.
When you took on the role, Jack Nicholson was already on board, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew him, I don't know if you'd worked with him before. Were you intimidated? Did the reputation precede?
I mean, I was intimidated because he's a genius, but I very quickly found, you know, I've been in acting class since I was, I don't know, 8 or something crazy. And it's a way of approaching work. You know, there are people who can catch lightning in a bottle without a lot of training. I'm not one of those people. So it makes you approach work a certain way, and he approached it the same way. So even though he was this exotic, brilliant creature that I was intimidated by, when we talked about the scenes, it was like 2 people in acting class. Yeah.
What was I mean, there's a chemistry on the screen, but what was the chemistry like working with him? What was the give and take?
Well, because I was so busy, and because I don't know, somewhere along the way I stopped doing a lot of hanging out when I worked. In my 20s, I hung out a lot on the set, but I was busy, I was tired, and I also thought their relationship is so awkward and weird. It would be better if there was distance.
Yeah.
And I would get less intimidated if it was just better. Like, I'll see you when the camera's rolling. Then I won't be intimidated because I have decided to play things that matter to me.
Yeah.
So we didn't hang out much.
Yeah. And you're right, it's probably better.
Probably better.
I wondered if there were different tips he tried to give you, if there were suggestions you tried to give him. What was that
I
interaction?
think I gave him any suggestions.
You never know.
Thank you. Oh, it's all good. Yes, there's a scene in the beginning where I really take a big bite out of him. And he thought that the director wanted me to scream it, and I knew that isn't what he wanted. So there I was, like, I didn't do it, but but it was coming from the right place, because this director did a lot of takes. There's almost no movies like that anymore because it's so expensive. But he really enjoys letting an actor try 100 things. And that's the only time I think he ever, because I brought that up because I think it was like take 75 and he just wanted help me be done. That's the only time I can think of. But when we were promoting the movie, a lot of times you'll see posters for movies where the man is looking straight ahead and the woman's looking at the man. It's like a trick to make more money, and it probably works, but it's annoying. And so we did a magazine cover, and they told me to look at him, and he was like, "Don't look at me, look at me." So I appreciated that.
Yeah, nice, very nice. And you mentioned James Brooks. What is he like to work for? What does he bring out of you? You know what I mean? I just don't know what the interaction is like when you're working with him.
I mean, you start by knowing you're in the room with the person that wrote this movie, so in a way, you just want to do what he says. And you know, he's gotten performances like Shirley MacLaine in terms of, you know what I mean? So you're ready to give, and then you give and give and give and give and give. And there's a big sobby scene in this movie, and we did 100 takes, and he pulls at his beard all the time while he thinks. Comes up with new things for you to try. And it's not that he doesn't like what you're doing. He believes this is why we're here. We've gathered, we've raised this money, we've showed up to work and try things and be bad and be good. That's why it's not a play, it's a movie. It should give you the space to not be perfect. And I remember one time he just knocked on the door after that scene and went, "I know I'm taking for granted that you're able to do that." Which was a compliment for a guy who wrote a movie about someone who learns how to give compliments.
Yeah. When the movie came out, I don't know what kind of expectation you have when a film or a TV show or whatever comes out, but with this particular one, I don't know how you felt about the work, and what was your expectation once it hit theaters?
never been in anything like this. You know, I had been in Twister, which was a new world, to be in a giant movie, and you know, that one's either going to be a big hit or a big flop, because they spent so much money. But I'd never been. These are the movies I love. These are the movies I grew up on. This feels to me like the legacy of
The cows.
City Lumet and Kramer versus Kramer is Ben.
Robert Ben.
Robert Ben, yeah. These are movies where adults talk to each other. You know, this is my heart of hearts thing, and I was in it, so I didn't know what to expect.
No.
I know that I felt that I worked as hard as I could possibly work. I know that the work was weird in a way that I was proud of. It was specific, and I was in Santa Barbara rehearsing with him. And David Kipper, someone here happened to be there, so we have a mutual friend. And this friend, David Kipper, said to me, "How are you doing these two parts? How are you doing Mad About You in this movie?" And I said, "Well, I'm so much more like the Mad About You character." And Jim just quietly said, "I'm not so sure." But he was right, because this is a person who is devastated by someone speaking in a cruel or unconscious way, who is healed by someone speaking with kindness, who cares about her kid.
Yeah.
Like, she'll kill you, she cares about her kid so much, and those things are me.
Yeah.
So he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Movie comes out, does very well, well reviewed. You're well reviewed. So
I never read a single one of those.
Yeah.
I'm taking your word for it.
Very smart.
Okay.
But the Oscar buzz starts to trickle out there. Do you pay attention? Do you block it out?
You have to pay attention because you're kind of out there begging for it. Oh, I'm so surprised. Meanwhile, you've been like, you know, showing up at everything and wearing fancy dresses. So it wasn't like a surprise, but it was a drug trip.
Yeah.
I mean, it was adrenaline, too much clothes, too much hoping you thank the right people. I like a do-over so that I can stop worrying about everybody else and enjoy it, because it was a lot.
Let's say it had to be pretty uncomfortable.
I mean, I'm thrilled in some retroactive way that I got to have that, you know, fairy tale moment, but really in the moment it was a bit much.
I would imagine the buildup was a lot of pressure.
God.
And you're just afraid to make the wrong move or say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So you're at the Oscars.
Yes.
You hear your name. What
Yes.
goes through your mind?
You're just at it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even know. I know it was important. Jim Brooks was not nominated as a director for that movie. So it was important to me to speak to him and his contribution. So I know I did that. I pissed a couple other people off for not thanking them. But it was very important to me to speak to that brain, you know.
Was it kind of did you sort of blank out, like when you go up to receive
For
it?
sure.
Do you even remember it?
No, what I remember is afterwards he shouted something like, "You classed up the joint."
So you're kind of on the top of the world in a way at this stage in your career, and then you get this honor. What's the impact from that? What's the effect, the after effect from something like that?
I remember Holly Hunter saying, you get like a year where you're on top of the world, where you can grab parts you want, and then you're back to being like, I hope they pick me, and it really is
The working
truth.
actor.
Maybe more for women than men,
Probably.
sadly, because men historically drove the box office, although Barbie. But certainly at that point, but there's a small window, and I didn't probably grab it aggressively enough because I was tired.
Yeah.
I had these two careers at once, and I was freaked out. I had a little bit of vertigo from that level of being well known.
Were you uncomfortable from it?
Yeah, they're following. You know, it can get weird, and I thought, what if it lasts forever? Which it doesn't. I'm now perfectly can move around the world just fine. But it was a little bit of vertigo for me.
I get it. After the fact, after the success of the film and the award, what kind of scripts started coming your way? What kind of things, and did anything jump out?
Well,
I imagine a lot didn't.
Yeah, I was offered this thriller. I remember I was going to be like drowned in a bathtub or something horrible. I didn't want to do it. But that same director had this movie about a guy who gets lost at sea, and a small part of a woman that he loves. I went to meet with him about the one I wasn't feeling right for, and I was like, I like that one. He just told me about it, I hadn't read it. He said, oh, I'm making this movie has to be shot in this window, because I'm making a movie where we have to take a year off so Tom Hanks can lose 50 pounds. I was like, what are you talking about? And he described the movie. It had a writer that I loved, a guy named Bill Broyles. And I said, I want to be in that. He was like, we don't need you in that. We have Tom Hanks, and it's a small part. I was like, I don't care. That just sounds like such a beautiful idea. And that's a movie I'm really proud of. And I almost never watch anything I did in the past, but when I had seen Castaway, it's like it's like an indie on a huge scale,
Yeah.
and I just think it's a pretty beautiful movie.
And then you can watch that when you're comfortable.
Yeah,
True. And what is it that you don't like to watch? Are you too critical?
no, I just don't want to be like Norma Desmond talking
Oh.
about my own work. That's my fear, which might be happening right now. But, you know, you don't want to be, you certainly don't want to get a lifetime achievement. You know, I want to be still making work
Yeah.
and excited about what I'm doing, which I am, and so that's my allergy.
Yeah, you're right. I just had one last question, and that is, are the Dodgers going to win the World Series?
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Although the Texas Rangers are fierce
Yeah.
right now, so but yeah, it's looking good.
They
We could
bought-
get a picture, would be good.
That's right. They bought the team. Yeah. I'm a Tiger fan, so what do I know?
It's okay.
I think that's about it.
Thank you all so much. It's been